I go in Monday. In a matter of a week, I met Snoop, Jimmy Eat World, Green Day, and Blink Disaster Tour, played at the wedding, and then was in the studio with Deeds Proof.
That's nuts,
Insane.
man.
That's my
Were
whole
you in
week.
your whites the whole time?
Whites the whole time. Dress whites.
That is iconic.
That's my whole story. And that led me to meeting the great Motown legends. And Pete Moore of Smokey and the Miracles brought me into Motown with the Gordys and said, you know, kid, you got talent. This is what we were looking for, to pass you this legacy. And that's how I came into music. That's my story. And it just kind of made its way up through the Secretary of Navy to the Chairman of the Joint Chiefs to the Secretary of Defense. So I started becoming in this Goodwill Global Ambassador and Advocate of Entertainment, representing our military, veterans, and first responders.
Welcome to Extraordinary Stories. I'm your host, Forbes Shannon, and with me today,
Christine Butler.
and the guest we have in studio today. You know, when we started Extraordinary Stories, it was all around helping thought leaders figure out what they're known for. And this is probably the most relevant to the guest we have in studio today, because the whole thing is, I don't want to give away his whole bio because there's so many things he could be known for. But he's a musician, an artist, an athlete, and a philanthropist. The one and only, the man, the myth, the legend, B. Taylor.
Hey guys, how you guys doing?
Great.
Thanks. Glad to be here, man. Glad to be here. Thanks for having me, Forbes, and appreciate it. Christine.
Yeah. You were nominated by Kimberly Fletcher. How do you know Kimberly?
Yes, Kimberly, the great Kimberly, Moms for America. I met Kimberly a couple years ago, met her and I got introduced to her during the inauguration. I was one of the things I was doing at the different secretaries, and ended up meeting her, and she had me a guest at CPAC for the first time, and went. And then we had the same type of, so she's from Midwest Missouri, where I went to school, Branson, and I'm from Illinois, and then I was a foster kid, and so my parents have raised foster over 30-some foster kids for 40 years, so we had that instant connection. So thank you, Kimberly. Thank you, Moms for America.
Another thing to add to the list that goes on. Of
yes. Yeah.
All right, well, let's start in present day and we'll work our way back.
Yes,
I think that may be the best way to tell this story. You got a new single.
Yes, got a new single coming out July 18th, Drink Up. I'm featuring one of my singers, the great Sahara, on my album that comes out the 5th, called We Are One, based off of this tour I'm doing called the We Are One Global Album, and it's going to be fun. But that first single, July 18th, comes out.
And so the tour has a unique aspect about your past as well.
Yes. It's cool, man. I'm just happy to be at this tour. You know, I was asked to do this because the name that I have from one of my songs on there that's called We Are One, that we shot with all the branches of the military and the veterans and first responders. It was just, they came to me and said, hey, let's bring all these global thought leaders under the music leaders, entertainers, sports, health and wellness leaders. Let's bring them all together around your brand, and let's partner and do these tours during FIFA and Formula One, and let's take it across the world into next year. So I'm like, okay.
Sounds good to me.
Right, sounds good to me, you know?
Well, thank you for your service. Let's start there, because I think that's kind of where the story gets real crazy.
Yeah.
Let's start in the Navy.
Yeah, right. So it was like I was going along playing sports, college football and basketball, Mizzou, and decided to transfer. And the clearinghouse declared me ineligible to transfer. So I've met some recruiters and said, hey, you can join the Navy to continue to play sports and finish your engineering degree and everything. So I tested into the Naval Nuclear Engineering program for my ASVAB. So I got ready, get my stuff for ROTC, and that got messed up. And so when you have a father that's former Army disciplinarian, he's a reverend, you know, as well.
Yeah.
And your stuff.
He's got both going.
Athletes, right. He's got all that going. He's like, you know, first thing is like, hey, God meant for this to happen. Just don't mess up in the Navy, because that's going to mess you up all the way for the rest of your life. And, you know, God's got his plan. So I was like, all right, let me follow Dad. So long story, go through boot camp. They find out I was a former athlete. It makes its way up to the Pentagon during my schooling in Pensacola, Florida. And I end up finishing top in my school. Next thing you know, I'm this E2 touring the Secretary of the Navy, the Chief of Naval Operations, and the Marine Commandant. And you talking about nerves, because I never seen Secret Service and AIDS
Uh-huh.
that movement before. It's
Mhm.
one thing to see celebrities or people grow up and move with security, but when these guys move, it's like a whole it's a whole different movement. So I'm touring, and then I play the basketball game. We had a command basketball game, and the Secretary of Navy was
What
like,
position do you play in basketball and
Good
football?
so
question.
right. So in football, I was a quarterback in high school, but I was a wide receiver in football. And in basketball, I was like the two guard, from
Okay.
1 point and two guard rotating. And
Okay.
and so
Of course, you were the guy that always had the ball.
that the
Yeah.
ball, right? So
Yeah.
man, I'm sitting there and the second half was like, you're gonna guard me, the Secretary of Navy. So I'm guarding him.
You're guarding the
Game
Secretary of the Navy?
in the command basketball game and everything. And so he goes up for game point, and my competitiveness. The first thing of me, would let me let the Secretary of Navy score. But I was so
Predicament.
right. But I was so competitive. I blocked this shot. All you did was hear the gym go ooh, and then I heard the chief goes, "Are you out your mind, son? Blocking the Secretary of the Navy shot? Who do you think?" And the second half said, he said, "No, this is who I want to play for my Navy because he didn't let me score.
Yeah.
He's gonna go to lunch with me. So Taylor, go get dressed. We're going to eat."
Wow.
So I'm sitting down with the second half eating. He's like, you want to go to the Naval Academy and finish? I'm like, well, sir, that's like 6 more years. And I was nervous. Is there a way that, I could do my job? I know the war is going on. I have a critical rating. If there's a way I can do my job and, play on maybe on the All Navy basketball and the military teams USA, if I could make that and then get a child for NFL, he was like, you know what? You stay squared away. I'm gonna choose you to play on the All Navy and Military Team USA, and then you got 3 locations you can be stationed at that have Navy bases that has NFL teams: Chicago, Jacksonville, or San Diego.
Wow.
And that's how. And I said, I'm not going. It's cold in Chicago. I'm a Bears man, but I already grew up in Illinois, and then Jacksonville, where we're at, I was like, we're in Mayport. I'm like, there's nothing down here in Pittsburgh. So I was like, let me go to California, San Diego. So I do all that. They pull me back. I play on the All Navy and play on these basketball teams. Then I get down. I go check in on Friday, and so I had a unique check in because I was reporting to the warrant officer, and I had a unique chain of command. And he's like, "I've been here 30 years, and you're an E2. We got a letter from the Secretary of Navy who wrote P.S. Taylor blocked my shot." So I have the letter, and he's like, "You up here? Who do you think you are? I never had this in my 30 years." I said, "Well, sir." He's like, "Well, you know what? I'm going to put you on this program called Huntron." And I said, "What?" He's like, "Yes, the schematics for all the circuit board chips that go in everything in the Marine and the Navy. So circuit boards from this small to this big. You're going to be on this program, and I'm going to make you work." It was very tedious. And he's like, "We're going to let you do the football TAD, but if you mess up, your career is all Navy. You're here. There's no football." So I was like, "Sir, well, speaking of that, can I go to Hollywood? Me and so tomorrow, Justin wants to drive us up." He's like, "You got to wear your dress whites." And I'm like, "Yeah." So Justin wants to take, he's like, "You better be here Monday morning at 5 a.m. So the next day, we're driving down Hollywood Boulevard. We knew a couple Charger cheerleaders. So they're in the car with us. So it's like a Top Gun, the straight up Top Gun. We were dropping them off where they were going, and they rode down the 405. We get out. So we're down in Hollywood, see this piano, and I start playing it, and I'm playing these songs and playing, and
And so you knew how to play the piano?
yeah, I grew up in church playing the piano, the organ, the drums, and eventually learned the guitar and stuff. And so I'm just playing like normal, like I was there. And so then this guy in a white t-shirt and baggy pants, and he had a fro. He's like, "Yo, you can play. That's my mom's and brother's favorite. That's my mom's favorite song. My brother's an icon. I need you to come meet him." I'm like, we're looking like, dude, this Hollywood before you're not.
There's all
You're
sorts of yeah,
we saw
right.
sort of people in like,
Yeah.
thinking of Michael Jordan, people in Spider-Man. So,
Yeah.
I'm like, when Justin's like, this dude's like, and he's like, "No, man, you need to come with me." Man, we go with him. I end up meeting, sitting there as Mama Beverly, rest in heaven, Snoop's mom, Snoop Dogg, Nate Dogg, Exhibit, the whole West
No
Coast
way.
sitting there and meet him. And Bing was like, Mom was like, she said, Mama Beverly said, "B, can you play this at my birthday and wedding?" And I was like, "Guys, I'm in the Navy. They let me go to Charger. Don't worry. It'll be okay." And so we go back and we're in the car, and Justin's like, "Man, how do I come with you? I've been in the Navy 8 years, man. How you meet? This has never happened." So we get back Monday. They're like, "The warrant want to see you." He's sitting there scratching. He said, "Taylor, you got to give it." He's cursing. "You got to blank, bleep, bleep. you just checked in. You ain't done nothing on the fleet. You're here for 48
Just
hours.
checked in.
I just got a message from, Snoop's mom and his brother, Bing. You met Bing for you to play at Snoop's mom's birthday and wedding. I'm like, yes, sir. I was playing the piano. They heard me play and they want to put me in the studio on Wednesday. Studio? You haven't even been there. I said, you better not smoke no weed or you're going to be out the Navy and there's no football. So Wednesday, I'm in the studio. I'm in the studio on Wednesday, first time ever, and this is honest to God truth. So then a guy comes in, he's like, yeah, man, we're a punk rock indie band. We're called Cut You Up. We heard you beat Taylor, right? Our friends are coming over and they want to meet you. They come in, it's Blink 182, man,
No.
and Jimmy Eat World. From Jimmy Eat World's from Gilbert, Arizona,
Yeah.
too. They come in, they're like, and then they brought in they come in and they had their manager, Bill, and at the time, my other friend and stuff, Jason, they comes in, Big J. They're like, hey, we know you're in the Navy. What are you doing? I'm like, oh, trying to get the music ready for Snoop's mom wedding. How about Friday, before you do Snoop's mom's birthday and wedding, you want to be a part of the Pop Disaster Tour? This is all my first week.
No way.
Pop Disaster Tour. I'm like,
when is tryout?
I don't
Right.
like it's like, right. And so Pop Disaster, I'm like, man, the same story. You gotta talk to the one. I get back on Thursday. My warrant's like, what is going on with you? I just got a call from Bill and Jason for you to pop. How'd you meet Blink? I'm like, well, I was in the studio and they introduced me to Blink and Jimmy Eat World. And the last part of this story, he's like, all right, I'm gonna let you go to that. But so I still had to go back to the studio. So I go back to the studio, and this is no lie, Friday. Justin, he calls me, I'm in the studio. He's like, hey man, I'm working at Coors Amphitheater, it was called that at the time, in Chula Vista, and it's the big concert. You want to come and just stand by me? Because he's working, he was in the Navy, but this was a part-time job. He's like, it's Nelly and Eminem and D12. And so I'm like, yeah. So I get there, I'm all excited. So I leave the studio this Friday. This is all the same week, guys.
Right.
This is Friday. So then I get down to them early. I'm walking around with Justin. Big guy comes up. He's got a thing on. He's like, what you doing here? What you guys doing here so early? Justin's like, hey, I'm working here. He's like, this is my man B. Taylor. He's in the Navy, but they trying out for the NFL and he's like music and others. He said, oh, really? He's like, my name is Firstborn. Come with me. We come and get on the bus. D12 and M.
No.
So I'm kicking it with D12 and M, and then Eminem's Proof at the time.
Yeah.
Yes. And so when I was in Proof was like, hey man, I heard about you through Snoop's brother, Bing and everything. Can you make some music for D12 and we'll get you in the studio? I'm like, the same story. I'm in the Navy, da-da-da.
Yeah.
Do you not know Proof? Called the base. So I go in Monday. In a matter of a week, I met Snoop, Jimmy Eat World, Green Day, and Blink Disaster Tour, played at the wedding, and then was in the studio with D Proof.
That's nuts.
Insane.
Man.
That's my whole
Were you
week.
in your whites the whole time?
Whites the whole time. Dress whites.
That is iconic.
That's my whole story. And that led me to meeting the great Motown legends. And Pete Moore of Smokey and the Miracles brought me into Motown with the Gordys and said, kid, you got talent. This is what we were looking for to pass you this legacy. And that's how I came into music. That's my story. And it just kind of made its way up through the Secretary of Navy to the Chairman of the Joint Chiefs to the Secretary of Defense. So I started becoming in this Goodwill Global Ambassador and Advocate of Entertainment, representing our military veterans and first responders, because I had such a unique story that I continue to share, that your life is not over. And until this current administration as well, with the previous, is let me recruit. I have a heck of a story, and if you can use people's stories that serve like this, we can tell people that your life's not over. That, man, if I hadn't served in the U.S. military, this all wouldn't happen. First started in dress whites as an E2 in 1 week. That was the whole week that changed my entire life. I'm going football. Junior Seau, rest in heaven, and Brad DeLuiso was helping me get an agent. And in that matter of a week, Snoop's mom's wedding, Blink 182, Jimmy World, Green Day, Pop Disaster Tour, and then capping it off with D12 and Eminem and Nelly for that. And I became life friends of these people.
Wow.
In 1 week as an E2.
So what does music do for you?
Just, man, I've always grew up with music around church. My parents playing music. My mom was over the youth choir. She can sing. My dad could sing. He was a preacher. And then all my aunts and uncles are deacons and pastors. And I grew up in church. I didn't want to, I was always an athlete. So it would be my weekends was because I would have to do work but then my mom, we were at choir rehearsal and she was always like, you're going to play for somebody special. Because I didn't want to be in choir rehearsal. I want to be outside playing. She was like,
Yeah.
you're going to play for somebody. One time, all this stuff you're playing, these drums and pianos, you're going to play for somebody special one day. You're going to thank mom that you did. And literally, my mom was right. I
Yeah.
thank my parents every day. And for me to do that, I learned so much being around Snoop's baby brother Bing, who passed away, being around and Jerry, his oldest brother, and Mama Beverly, his mom, it just took me and I learned and just, Snoop and the love and his managers, and I learned so much of how he was operating in the studio. But then when I got to the Motown legends of following the traits of the same people that discovered Michael Jackson and Stevie Wonder and all these greats, it was like a class. It was like they took it very seriously. It was like a military almost. It
Mm.
was like you show up on time. This is what a chart is. This is how you do music. This is how you make timeless music. Here's the keys. Here's this. It was very punctual. And
Yeah.
so they were like, this is what's going to make you make timeless music. And they were very hard. There was no waiver. Like you just come to the studio and just free do whatever you want. It was very orchestrated,
Mhm.
as Mr. Moore, brought me in. And so I'm glad because everything they told me that would happen was going to happen. They were like, when the dust clears and your story and this Motown magic and your military, but we haven't had nothing, is when they all line up. If you stay focused and continue to do what you're doing and don't give up and don't stay the course, it's gonna be an iconic story that you're gonna be able to walk around and be like, "This is unique," and this a unicorn story, and it is. I never.
Mhm.
It was all God orchestrated. There's no way you could set that all up for
Yeah.
that to
No,
happen
yeah.
if God didn't have His hand, and there's no way.
So I want to talk about the power of story because it seems to be like not only do you tell stories in music, but you tell stories when you're recruiting. You
Yeah,
tell stories through your philanthropy work.
right,
Mhm.
Like what does story do for you?
man. It just my dad always says the phrase, no story, no glory, right? He always would tell me that and stuff. And I feel like, that's what stories give to me. It inspires people, and just from different walks. And for me, it inspires the military, the veteran community, the youth community, especially our less fortunate that grew up in these inner city, like to feel like how they looked upon with the military and the veterans. Yes, when you serve, you do have that small risk of things could happen. But for most part, you have to go into infantry or special forces to really be in that. There's certain guys that are meant for that are the best of the best. That's what they do. But everyone else is assisting these guys. So you can be a lawyer, you can be a Juilliard. Like when you play for the military bands, you can play. That's your job for your whole career. You can retire playing around the world for the highest dignitaries, the highest thing. Like you just saw the 250. You
Mhm.
saw the military
Yeah.
band, which I was so
Right.
grateful.
Mhm.
They didn't do that when I was in, but I'm so grateful that they've showcased that the
Mhm.
talent that your life's not over. And, you can go to the Olympics. You can play. I played on the All Navy and Team USA military team. So World Schisms games. We had all this going on. So you can do all these things in the military. There's 800 jobs. And so that's what I help to get rid of that myth and use my story and letting the Pentagon know that when guys like us come out to be great, let us come back and recruit. It's not about lobbying for money
Mhm.
Right.
and being up in Washington to get bucks from the Department of Defense. God has blessed me. I don't need bucks from the DOD, but let me go back and inspire a generation, for free and let me recruit because I have a heck of a story. It's probably one of the only E2s in the history to do that in a week,
What is an E2?
E2 is the bottom, and I was turning into the E3, the
Bottom of the
very
totem
bottom. But
pole.
you got E1, E2, and then when you pass, I was graduating to E3, and I ended up being an E4 petty officer. But you're at the bottom. There's whatever you say doesn't mean
Right.
anything. In the United States, you're told what to do. So, for me,
I've never seen an E2 with a letter from the Pentagon.
right,
Yeah.
Yeah,
right. I
right.
checked right, and my dad even was like, "How in the world did you get this?" And the second half, he put PS. He blocked my shot,
Yes, yes.
and I have it hanging up and
Do
stuff.
you think
But
that block shot, like, changed the trajectory of your life?
It did, because if I hadda let him score, I wouldn't have had lunch with him.
Mhm.
Mm.
When
Mhm.
I blocked that and the command master chief was like, "Taylor," and I remember the command, he was like, "Are you out your mind?" I was like, "No, sir," like, and the second half was like, "No, he's supposed to do that. He's supposed to, and that's who I want, a sailor to represent me. You're having lunch with me." And so when I was going to lunch, I remember we had the gunny sergeant, I forgot his name, but he was bald head, big dude, big bald head,
Mhm.
meanest looking dude ever. Like been in war, he was a grunt. Like, so he was like, when I blocked the shot and I was going to lunch, he said, "Yeah, Taylor, I told you that's why I be in your butt all the time." Yeah. I'm like, "Yes, yeah, Gunny." But it was cool. But if it changed the trajectory.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
That's what got that meeting to sit down and say, "Okay, what do you want to do? Well, I'm gonna allow you to do this." That changed the trajectory of my entire life, meeting with the Secretary of the Navy and the Chief of Naval Operations at that time, Admiral Vern Clark. That changed my life,
Yeah, well, that simple move right there says a lot about you, right? Because I
Thank
think
you.
most people in that place would,
Yeah,
give it
kind
to
of.
him.
Yeah, yeah. I would have gave it. I was like, man, he's not getting that shot off. You know what I mean? Because he was just the competitiveness of me, and and that's what I'm glad I did that, and that's what my dad taught. Not to ease up. He was always on it when you play and stuff, and so it helped me, to be like that, and it really did. It changed the trajectory of my whole entire life.
So how does to Christine's point, how does competitiveness, like, show up in art? I mean, 6 number ones,
Right.
right?
Yeah. Six
Like
number ones working with everybody, man. I've worked with number ones with Chris, Snoop, Two Chains, Flow Rider, and I've been in the studio with so many people, man. You name it, I've been in, but and just doing work too with through my One Life philanthropy. When I'm performing an aircraft carrier, I did a Star Spangled Banner with Obama. It was the first basketball game on an aircraft
I
carrier.
remember that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
that
I
was you?
performed. That was me.
No
Yeah,
way.
and then I won the halftime show. It was me and Tyler Hansbrough, who was a Player of the Year for Duke, but he played for Indiana Pacers
Oh,
against James Worthy of the Lakers, who's my friend, and Brooklyn Decker, who's my friend, the actress, right? And so we were picked to lose, and I won the halftime. And then Dick Vitale's like, "You don't remember B. Taylor from Mizzou? He can shoot, he can sing, he can score." So it was like my whole day. I sung the Star Spangled Banner. I won
did
the
not.
halftime, and I was like, I'm taking advantage of this. So it's just, man, it's just, I look back at some of the things I've done, man, and then having my first number one with Polly Perrette, who plays NCI Abby. She
Mm,
retired off of NCIS. So that shocked the world. They're like, "How did you get Abby to
Yeah,
sing?" It's
mhm.
I love that.
changed my life because I'm going everywhere with Abby. We couldn't go eating anywhere. I'm like, "Oh man, this is crazy."
Whoa.
She's so loved from NCIS, but
Mhm.
I just had a heck of a life, but I always put charity first. I've never strayed away from representing the troops. And when the SecNav and the CNO, they said, "Look, we're gonna allow you to do this, but always give back and never use your platforms for our troops and our
So why
vets."
do you use your platforms?
Mhm.
Because that was the thing, was that Navy gave me the opportunity. Without the U.S. Navy,
Mhm.
I wouldn't have been in this trajectory. Without
Yeah.
going in service, I wouldn't have been in this trajectory. I learned so much supports from so many admirals and Marine generals, and even now that's crossed over into other branches of Air Force and Army. I had the opportunity to be with a lot of higher ups who were in positions that were really running things.
Yeah.
I mean, I learned a lot and took everything, and then you couple that with having a great father, mentor, having some great coaches, and then you're mentored by all these admiral generals at a young age, and then you at a young age meet the Motown legends who were, that's Barry Gordy was Army. That's why Motown was the way it was. He was an Army Korean vet.
Oh, I didn't
Pete
know
Moore,
that.
who discovered me, he served for General MacArthur. When
Mhm.
he was the Miracles, they were famous, and he had to do 2 years. Claudette, the first lady of Motown of the Miracles, she was a Marine sharpshooter. So the founding of Motown was military. So if you notice how articulate they were, how
Yeah.
they were well dressed, how groomed, and they pumped out hits. It was all based off of the military. So when they saw me, it was a natural. They
Mhm.
understood me, not from a music, but they understood the military, because Pete Moore, who discovered me, was military. Claudette
Right.
of the Miracles, military. Mr. Gordy, military.
Right. Well, and that
So
would explain the system behind their
their
production.
production, and
Yeah.
that's why Motown was
Right.
so, successful. And so I just got that. When you get that mentorship at a age
Mhm.
like that, you don't understand everything, but you start to become what you're around. So I
Yeah.
became what I was around. So
Yeah.
everyone's like, "How are you doing all this?" Well, if you go back to the history and look,
Yeah,
what I was around, you're gonna become that, you know?
This
yeah.
is the signature part of the interview where Christine pulls out one of her, signature left turns out of her
Yes,
bag. What do you have for us?
What do I have? Okay. Well, this one has been one that I've asked a couple people in the past couple days.
yes.
It's random, okay?
Okay,
So get
okay,
prepared.
okay.
What's your relationship with the sun?
Ooh.
Up with the
The
sun?
sun.
How can I say, what's the relationship with I feel like I could say it's heavenly. I
Yeah.
feel good, man. God put every time that sun shine on me, man, that's the song we used to sing in church. Shine on me,
Yeah.
And I grew up with it and I felt the sun was shining on me. The light was on me when all this was going. I wasn't perfect the whole time, but the light was shining on me. I felt
Mhm.
like God had the light on me to be able to do this. Like I was chosen specifically for this story. It
Yeah,
was
yeah.
given to me. So
See, that was a really great response. See, I asked that question and you never know where it's gonna go.
right.
You get some people say, "Well, I wear sunscreen,
Right.
SPF 2000," and then you get other people
Why'd you point
who
at me when you said SPF 2000?
hey, listen. And then you
That's
get those
awesome.
who say those, like, beautiful answers that are just a little bit different,
Oh,
right? Like,
no, that's awesome. No,
yeah.
and you know what? I feel like I love Arizona too with, when Kimberly had me to come here with you guys, one of the things I'm becoming the spokesperson partnership for is called Jesus One
Mm,
Apparel. And there is like here based in Phoenix, they have a 55,000 square foot facility down here. And so it was crazy because my coaches from college and my coach from the NFL brought me on because the owner, he just was like, you know what? I want athletes to talk about God, not be ashamed to talk about those things. So he trademarked Jesus One, gave it the chaplains from the baseball award. Then it started getting around the baseball and athletes, and now they're doing just numbers out the blue. So my coach was like, "We need somebody that can bring everybody together: the entertainment, the sports, the military." So it's like I think that
I think I know
Arizona
the
vibe.
guy, yeah.
Yeah, they knew they called me, and so I'm happy, man. It's like, and what they do is you make it the colors of whatever professional college or high school team or whatever your colors is. So we got Patriots. I got
Mm.
so many I'm getting ready to get out, like Flow Rider,
mhm.
which is my co-management, one of my great he was like, "Man, I need that Miami Heat and I need that Dolphins Jesus one." It's just so organic,
Yeah.
and it just fits my brand. So it was like I was waiting for something to be able to market my We Are One and to
Mhm,
market my One Life with something positive. And so it's all in Arizona. So much love in Arizona. So I'll
mhm.
be coming back here, a
Yeah.
lot. So it's been
So
cool.
let's talk about One Life.
Yeah, man. So I have my One Life Productions that started when I discovered with Motown the Miracles, and so I would always support the military and vets through donating my own personal money and speaking. And one time, the Congress VA committee chair, Gus Bilirakis, was like a mentor down in Florida. He said, "Man, you got all the relationships. You should do your own nonprofit and what your brand is." So I was like, you know what? Already done wounded I speak at all these things. I don't want to mimic those things. I want it to be high end. I want to
Mm,
be about quality of not the quantity of like how many veterans can I help, but if I'm going to do it, the quality that they all say the same. Nobody gets lost. And so I created the One Life organization of 17 alternative wellness programs. So um we've been growing, and I took, Congressman Bilirakis' advice, and he's the one who wrote that cover act that says we can choose how we wanna heal
yeah.
through, sports, yoga, music. So I took that, so I have music therapy program with Guitar Center, where they take lessons. I got a national partnership with EOS, where free membership for all military veterans, first responders, and their dependents. A TB12, my relationship with Gronk and the Gronk brothers. Big shout out to them Gronks, and TB12 fitness, Gronk fitness, yoga. We got horticulture, building and landscaping program. I got the fertility program. My COO, Dr. Kimberly Carter, who is one of the top fertility people in the country, runs Nevada's fertility place over there. She introduced that to us, and we got our first family. Went through the whole process and had the baby this past Christmas.
Congratulations.
Yeah, yeah. Congratulations to Heather and Josh Oborn. They had their baby and stuff. And so, I got just high-end furniture donation and appliances. It's just a hub of high-end, and I do something called the Heroes Experience. So
Mhm.
since I played sports and stuff I take guys to games, they get to be on the field, meet the players, and I have 7 years I'm working with the NFL, Anna Isaacson, the VP of the social good for the NFL over there. We've been able to take vet military and first responders, and there's been about 50 of them plus to the NFL experience. Then
Yeah.
I add on, I give them money to shop for
Yeah.
the at the experience for their families and everything, and then they get to take a VIP picture with the Lombardi Trophy, and then I get them to go to eat. So big ups to Shaq for Shaq's Chicken and my man Mark Wahlberg for Wahlburgers
There you go.
for years, and the Wahlburger family, Paul and everyone. So I just been living my life and just staying true to who I am. Cause that's the
Absolutely.
thing too about entertainment. A lot of times they tried to change me. They didn't know how to market me. And Hollywood's different. You got some people, oh, you're too positive.
Too positive.
Right, right. That's what was told to me, to my management is you need some edge and I'm like, edge, I served in the military and played sports. I don't need any edge. It's too positive. It's not gonna work. Being trying to market Motown with urban pop culture and the military and the veterans, that's corny. That's not gonna work.
Mm,
So I was like, I'll be corny then. I'm not
I
changing my
love
brand,
that.
Yeah.
and I stuck with it. Took longer, but that's what I tell artists, and that's what I tell Hollywood. Start getting artists that have positivity. It's so much negativity done, but a light shines on the negativity. You can't go
Absolutely.
around and just do negative, bad stuff and think you're not going to get caught. You eventually will get caught, and it's going to be at a time when you least expect it. You're
Right.
going to be at the height of something, and that's when. So I'm just glad I never changed it because I got offered different things, and so I was like, no, man, I represent my parents. I got all these people on me, the Motown, the military who allowed me to do this. They could have said no. We're not going to allow you. You're going to serve. You're not going to play sports. You're not going to do any music. They could have shut me down. So I'm like, I'm glad I stuck with it,
That's
but that was the
amazing.
first thing they were like, but the positive, I'm like, positive?
And
That was the first time I like, because I came from sports and you never hear with athletes, you can see the setup with in sports you can't mess up and do crazy stuff.
yeah.
You're off a team. You're not playing pro sports. If you're doing in music, hopefully with all this stuff coming out they'll change the music, but music entertainment, you can go off the Richter and still come back and release an album on the
Hmm.
label.
Hmm.
You can go in jail and do 8
Right.
years or do some crazy
You
stuff
release an
And
album from jail.
from
that
jail,
really does
it
happen.
does. You can do
Yeah.
stuff, but in sports, you done. Once you're out of that, you do something bad, you're not on a team. They're not take. So I wish, music would, set some parameters. Like executives would step up and set some parameters for the youth coming up to say,
Yeah.
hey, if you're gonna, it should be a privilege
Right.
to be on a label and be able to live your dream out like this that people never get a chance to do. It should be a privilege. And so hopefully executives try to step up and say, you know what, we need to get some order a little
That's
bit.
a really good point, because music and frequency, that's the one thing that will enter your body and your
Yeah.
psyche
Hmm.
subconsciously, right?
Yes.
And
Yes.
so we're subconsciously driving in the cars with their kids listening to horrible
Yeah.
things,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
And so that is a very good point. There
Yeah,
should be some guardrails in
some
some way or
guardrails
another.
somewhere they can help, shape and make it where they can have some things because mental health is bad and it's bad in musician, it's bad with everyone and music. And when you have no parameters and stuff, people are just doing whatever, and then you wind up finding an artist or musician dead or athlete dead, and everyone's like, "What happened?" Well, you worked, you knew what was
Right.
going on. It's just
Exactly.
you knew you was getting that check. So instead
Right.
of going and trying to come up with the way to make it better, it's like, I'm not gonna say nothing, I'm getting paid, but then you don't understand if that person's gone and mentally's gone, your check ends.
So, how have you managed to maintain a good group around you?
Took time, took a lot of time because not everybody everyone wants to be around entertainment and entertainment and sports, but not everybody is into the aspect of the giving back. Especially in our generation and younger, it's more about like I feel like with Instagram, it's been about like me. If you look at Instagram, everybody posts it's my me, and it's
Hmm.
like there's no. And so with me, everything I do is around the charity. Everything I have troops on the stage, I introduce them. I have troops in the growing room and veterans. It's everything. My team would tell you everything that I do. The military veterans first we have in whatever city we at, they get recognized and they come for that VIP. So it's hard getting people to think about that because some people do charity for well, I got to get it just to get it for my credits, or I got to do it, and so it's you got to get people who understand that. So I tell people like, man, I'm about this. If you think it's just gonna be about entertainment, then
Mhm.
I'm not the right person for you, you know? And so they took time to get the right people that understood that everything we do, it's good for you to do, Cherry. If you're having something to do that, it shows you self-service because my dad always said you could be on the other side of the fence.
Right,
Homeless, sick, you can easily be on the other side of the fence. And I think people forget about that.
right.
So that's why I implement the charity into every aspect that I do. And it you feel good. I feel good. Like I can go to sleep at night. You know, if good Lord took me away, I know I was doing my part,
Right.
you know, and stuff that and hope somebody can take a piece of it and continue, you know, I can inspire someone to do that. So
And where do you think that started from? Like, that
my
mindset? Your
mom and dad
yeah.
raising foster kids for years. You know, my grandma did the same thing and grandparents. And so dad and my mom was over the youth and they would always take the youth to retreats every summer. And then you had, you know, people in our church, some didn't have money like that. So my parents would pay the money because the kids would be crying, I can't go. And my
Mhm.
parents would always pay. They were just always giving and giving and giving and giving and giving. And I feel like what they did, it came through me. You know, the blessings, it says that you plant seeds, it comes through your offspring, right? And so I feel like when my parents did so much great work and grew up and went through a lot through house fires of, you know, bad stuff and things, and they never wavered. They stayed, been together, married for 53 years. They stuck true to who they were. And now I'm, you know, I took what my dad taught me and I'm, you know, my mom taught me and I'm reaping those blessings so I'm able to give back to them and
Yeah.
do good stuff for them as well,
Do
so
good stuff, dude.
yeah.
Mhm.
We're starting to figure out what you're known for, man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
man,
Yeah.
no, that's what it's about, man. This will be my 15th year in December. We do my annual, so I do, the Ronald McDonald
Mhm.
Cool.
Catholic charities, and then we do Shade Tree, which is the domestic violence for women and kids, and then animal. I got dogs, so we do the Animal Foundation, and then I do last year. I'd always do veterans and military, but last year was special because I was able. You know, we had that shutdown for a while, so. I was able to take 1,200. I gave about $150 cash on top of gifts, but I gave them straight cash to 1,200 900 active duty and 300 vets. And we did that around, so I was able to do, you know, 100 and some thousand in them, and that was cool. And so this will be my 15 years. So that's good for me because I'm able to continue to help and stuff. And I got a chance to, because I would just normally when I was donating, I would have been dropping, I wouldn't say anything. I would just get my assistants together and I would just go to those places and drop off gifts. That would have them
Mhm.
look up what is needed and I would just drop the bags. They would go and we just pull up, drop the bags for Christmas. So I've been doing that until finally my nonprofit. So finally I got to meet the CEOs and they got to meet my mom, my parents. They were like, we just this guy was just coming dropping things off every year of we big bags of toys. I would do it for Animal Foundation, Catholic charities. No one knew who it was. We just show up and drop a bunch of stuff until finally they were like, we gotta meet him, and we figured out who it was because that's just I feel like sometimes you don't need to say anything. You
Mhm.
know, let your actions, your body of work can speak. So I would just go drop it off and finally got to meet all the CEOs this past year and they hugged. They're like, Mom, your son, you know, we wanted to meet him because he's been doing this for 14 years. He would just drop things off. So
Mhm.
it was cool. So I tell some people sometimes you don't have to make a big splash. Just go get some things and drop it off. People in your body of work
Yeah.
outlive you, you know?
It's awesome. Alright, I got a left turn here for
Yep.
you. Favorite route to throw and favorite route to catch?
Favorite route. So I like
He
the
knows, he's
hitch.
ready.
I was a hit. So I was two. I had the hitch
Mhm.
and then I had the fade. I
Oh.
didn't like the dig or post corner because in the NFL and
Uh-huh.
college, if they don't throw that thing right, you can get your head taken off.
Yeah,
Mm.
right.
So it was like for me, because I was a tall receiver
You
and
wanted the jump
fast,
ball.
jump
Yeah.
ball, and then
Uh-huh.
the hitch. If I get one on one with you because of that speed,
Yeah.
then I can get that five and then make my own thing. But then that dig or something, if they don't throw that dig down, you know what I'm
Yeah,
talking
yeah.
about. Your head
Get
can
your
cut.
head
When you get to NFL, you ain't trying to see all. You got people like Ray Lewis and people like that standing there, and you know my buddy N'Kobe Dean, he played for Phillies with the Raiders now. They take your head off. So it's like get me on the outside, you know. So yeah, so that's my
That's
favorite
cool.
route.
What'd you like to throw in high school?
I like the I was good. I do a great fade. I do a fade and post corner. I scored a lot of touchdowns
Mm,
off of that
mhm.
with my receivers. So that was what I do. And then I moved to receiver And then I was like, "Hey man, y'all need to throw this ball like me. Like, I'm not getting people killed out here. I got receivers having longevity, like
Right.
you know, you guys never get hit. You wear a red t-shirt every practice.
Yeah,
You
you're
don't
throwing
ever get hit.
suicide balls out there,
Suicide
right?
balls getting people killed before the game, and in the game you don't get hit at all. Like, oh man, so
Oh man,
yeah,
that's so
so
funny.
that's awesome.
We ask this question to everyone that comes on Extraordinary Stories. If you had to give one piece of advice, you've given so much, but
Uh-huh.
one piece of advice on how somebody could live more extraordinarily today, what would it be?
Don't be about yourself. Be about others. What I had to learn from Pops and even the Motown, when, you're given this opportunity in this being a public figure, whether you're a thought leader, a government official that has a lot of people around, whether you're an entertainer and an athlete, which entertainment and sports and you're a single figure, so it's based off of you. If you think it's about you and you get bigger than it, that's when you fail. So you have to be about others. You got to understand that people change their lives. All the people that's working with you, whether you got road managers, assistants, publicists, security, everybody changes their life to alter to work for you, right? To make you get the things that you need done. So if you're thinking about a lot of times entertainers, artists, it's about me, it's about me, me. No, you got to be about others. And my team would tell you, like, I try to Christmas, the security, he'll tell you, Nate, I always try to, when they come out on the road, okay, what can I do for the family or what can I do for the kids? Because people have their lives too. So I learned that it's not about you, it's about everyone. You just the center of the wheel, but you have to be about every and don't get too big. Don't get bigger than it and keep grounded. And so I've always done that because the minute you get bigger than it, that's when everything go away. So if I can give advice to anybody, don't be about yourself. Be about others. Take care of yourself. But when you can take care of yourself, be about others. And have courtesy enough to how people and understanding what they have going on when they're working around you, and make sure you're checking on them to say, hey, and, working with your leadership, okay, how can I make this better? And then people will love working for you. They'll love doing things. But when you become like it's me, 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 and I'm it, that you're gonna, wind up people gonna not work for you. Then you're gonna be sitting. My dad was like, he was like, you'll be in your big old home sitting up here by yourself. You have a little money and you'll be
Mhm.
sitting here and nobody wants to come around you. He's like, that's an awful way to go out.
Yeah.
So like, so that's my advice to people.
Yeah. Well, and that parallels with your album.
Yeah, yeah, we are one, man. I'm excited for this tour and that to come out. I got all the genres. I got country, gospel, R&B, but really show my diversity of featuring Latin music. Got a lot of great features on it, and yeah, it comes out August 5th, and the single from A Drink Up comes the 18th, and so I'm taking a playbook out of the Motown where Michael would do a video for each song. So I'm gonna take everyone on a journey, and I'm gonna do 17 videos. Two of them are done with the We Are One, and the one I have with One Life to Live called One Life with featuring Ray J and the military gospel choir that we shot on the aircraft carrier in Arlington. Snoop's mom
Very
plays my mom and Claudette plays my grandmother. So I got 15 videos. So I'm gonna do a video for each one so that the world, when I'm going on this world tour, everybody can take a piece in the journey instead of just doing like, normal labels. What you do is you do two singles, you do this whole album and they
yeah.
only got two videos.
Right.
It's like, why would you put an album? Michael took you on a journey. He did all his videos and you
Right.
was able to extend it. So, I'm gonna take a playbook and do it like this and take everyone on the journey and stuff. So I'm excited and just happy to, be able to do something that can impact people.
Yeah.
So
Well, that's extraordinary.
yeah,
We
thank
could
you.
talk forever. Did you have anything else or?
I am curious.
Yes,
Okay.
So
yes, ma'am.
Kimberly Fletcher is coming out with a new book called When Moms Rise.
Okay.
Okay. On the premise that moms rule the world, right?
Hey, my mama.
Right.
Yes, mamas are the matriarchs. If you don't know that, moms bring everybody together. Just look at Mother's Day. You can't get anything. Father's Day's coming up. You can get cards. You can go out to eat. You can get anything. You can go last minute, all you want. Mother's Day, you cannot go last minute or get reservations for anything. Just look at
So true.
you can weigh it out right there. all the guys that's going shopping, you can get Father's Day card on the Sunday, the day of Father's Day. If you do that on Mother's Day, the whole aisle is empty and there's no reservations. So that tells you how
It
much
tells
moms,
you.
you know.
So what happens when moms rise in America?
Oh man, it's gonna clean up. You know, it's gonna
It's
clean
gonna clean
up.
up.
It's gonna clean up. When moms come together and really raise, and come together, because your mom, I look at my dad was a provider and a discipliner, but my mom, she took us to practice, cleaned us, when we were sick, made everybody food. Like moms multitask. They can know where the dog's supposed to go. They know where you're supposed to go. They know where the husband's going. If you ever know a dude, we can't do all that. Like mom, they'll know everything. They can tell you where everything is at. Women, they can tell you
100%.
everything at in the
And they
house.
know it's not
And
out.
they know it's not out.
Yep.
They can tell you, and it's
Yep.
like there's right there. And then when if moms can say, hey, everybody be here at Sunday. We're having dinner. Everyone shows up. They bring everyone together, and so when moms rise like that, and I think people need to moms really respect and get our kids back into school, get our kids doing good stuff, get our kids being positive, and these things. And so when the moms get together, stuff gets done. When a bunch of moms get together, it's getting done. I don't
Yeah.
care if you're a coach, I don't care whatever if a bunch of moms show up to your door,
Mhm.
stuff is going to get done, because that is the worst nightmare you want. A bunch of moms down your throat, and they will not stop until, the movement of moms. If something's going to go,
Right.
they will be there every single day until you have to do that,
It's because we got precious
Yes.
angels at hand.
Yes, you do. You do.
Mhm.
No, moms, I'm glad she's writing that book. That's going to be good. Though. I can't wait. I can't wait to read that, because
It's
I
gonna
love
be good.
Kimberly. Kimberly's
Yeah.
so awesome. Her and Debbie over there, they're
Right.
good people. So no, I'm excited. Thank you guys for having me and
Yeah,
stuff.
thank
Thank
you so
you.
much. You can read more about B. Taylor and all the stuff that goes under his Do Good Stuff movement at joinextraordinary.com. That's JOINEXTRAORDINARY.com, at Extraordinary Network on all of our socials. I'm Forbes Shannon.
I'm Christine Butler.
And I'm B. Taylor. And thank you guys for having me, and go check them out, man. And we got to get people on this, and it's great what you guys are doing. Thank you for the
Thank you.
platform.
We'll see you next time.
All right.